we do want to take your calls. So how do you feel about Scarlett Johansson being cast as Major Kusanagi? I'm actually going to go ahead and get this up on screen here for everyone.
Well, I don't know how many of us, besides maybe Nika, can really have an opinion on this. And even she's white, right? So none of us really have the privilege.
But I've seen the show.
But none of us really have the privilege to comment and have a real opinion on it.
Yeah, we're not. Oh, that's right. We're all white people, so we can't have an opinion about
I would like to just preface that with saying...
That's sarcasm?
By saying that we all obviously understand that our opinions are invalidated by the color of our skin. Okay?
Right.
We get that.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about it anyway.
It's okay.
Here's the first question I have, I guess, for Nika, since she's watched it. Mm-hmm. Okay. In the actual anime, is her background, like the fact that she's Asian, like besides being an anime, is it specifically stated that she is Asian?
Okay, this is the thing with Ghost in the Shell, okay? It very, very much is a commentary on dystopian Japan and basically what's happened because of because of wars that have happened in country relations. It is very important that the setting is in Japan.
Okay.
However, the character is a cyborg.
Yes.
It has said more. I think it even, I was reading some things. I don't remember this specifically, but I do believe that her cyborg is a European model. I do believe that she physically chose this model because she thought it looked the best. And they actually mentioned throughout the show that they know so little about her history that she could even be a dude.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. They
don't know that much about her to a point where, she's definitely Japanese. Like, she is a Japanese person.
Okay.
However,
they live in Japan. It's set in Tokyo 3.
Thank you. Because one of the things that, and I forget where I saw this being discussed, but, obviously the majority of anime comes from Japan, right? But the way that if they're all Asian, if it all takes place in Japan, because like Attack on Titan, that doesn't take place in anywhere real,
Germany.
Right? It's in Germany.
It's Germany.
Okay. Yeah. None of them look like they're Japanese, they're fucking anime characters, right? Everyone has big, giant, fucking bubbly eyes, and even take Attack on Titan, right? What's his name? Levi, right? He actually has, squintier eyes, and apparently he's French, right?
Okay, yeah.
So if the idea is it's an anime, so they all have to be Asian...
Well, no, that's not... I don't think that's right.
I call bullshit on that.
Some people think that. Okay. However, this is very importantly set in Japan.
Yes,
okay, it's set in Japan, but like you said, there's actual... proof or facts within the actual anime itself that sort of goes to show that maybe she herself isn't
maybe her body isn't
actually Japanese,
right? Well, and again, as Nika had pointed out, there is the history of the character is so questionable. We don't even know what gender
she's kept so much of it very secret. Although in one of the movies, I just watched all of them in a row. I lose track of which is which. That they actually did show little snippets of her as a kid and kind of what made her want to become the police officer or whatever that she is. I do believe that she is who she says she is. However, I mean, honestly, if they want to whitewash any anime, this is the way to do it, right? Find a Japanese character who is a cyborg that can literally be in any body they want, and they can easily just say, Kusanagi chose a white girl-looking model. I mean, that's the easiest way to write off whitewashing something.
Do we think that's actually what they thought? That they're all sitting around, they're like, you know what? Let's make this character white.
It's a part of the meta discussion of the original source material. The question, she chose the body because that was what was aesthetically pleasing for her. It is a meta question inside the actual movies and the show, whether or not she was sexually attracted to it or whether she thought it was the most powerful and disarming the physical presence that she could present. It is a question in the show. How can you? It's not. This is the worst example to trot out of Hollywood whitewashing. Because, I mean, in the end, they may do it if it's set in Tokyo 3 and all of Tokyo 3 or whatever, Tokyo, whatever. What is the city? Is it Tokyo 3?
It's something like that.
Something like that. Whatever
that's
the fuck it is.
Evangelion. I don't know if they borrowed it.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what it is. Somebody had corrected me.
Regardless, it's a dystopian future.
It's a dystopian. Yes.
It's not current.
So if literally everyone in that city is a white person, then you could probably go, oh, that is Hollywood whitewashing. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I don't think that's what was ever going to happen.
They chose Scarlet because they want this discussion to happen.
I think they chose Scarlet because she's really good at action roles.
Yep.
And her role as Black Widow is pretty similar to what she'd be doing as the Major.
Exactly.
I honestly think they chose her simply because she'd sell.
Absolutely been typecasted recently. Not even the Avengers. Lucy. She did the same thing in Lucy. I don't know if any of you saw this really fucked up film she was in called Under the Skin, but that was super fucking weird, and Nate, you should watch because I think you'd really dig it, where she kind of was in a weird sort of it's a fucking weird film, okay? But I can kind of see that whole thing. But yeah, no, you're right, Nika. She's fucking hot right now. She is on fire.
And the thing is that I would absolutely love if they had actually picked a Japanese actress and used her to skyrocket an unknown person to fame. I think that would have been fantastic. However, Hollywood feels like that's not going to sell, and I do think that is a problem worth talking about, that they think that Asian actresses are not going to sell as much as someone like ScarJo, and that's really sad because if that's the case, we're never going to get Asian actors in lead roles. They're always going to be tossed to the side characters, and that's a real problem.
The same discussion is being had about I forget his actual name, but the guy who was cast as Iron Fist, he's Caucasian. And you know, why wasn't he Asian? You know, and I read this whole article going back to how basically, you know, the original concept of Iron Fist, you know, going over to wherever the fuck he is and, you know, mastering this lost, you know, martial arts that he can do better than anybody else there was, you know, a misappropriation of culture, and this was their chance to correct it, and they didn't, and blah, 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 blah. It's all over the place.
There's another issue that people are deciding, like, it really depends, too, on if they change the setting and change it and adapt it to a Western setting, or if they leave it in Japan. And the thing is with that is if they're going to change the setting, they shouldn't even call it Ghost in the Shell. They should call it something different. Like, I actually didn't know until recently that Tom Cruise's Edge of Tomorrow movie was originally, I think, a Japanese story that they could change so much and adapt it for a Western style that it's completely, like, nobody really cares about that because they just took the concept and made it completely different, and they didn't actually take a Japanese person and whitewash them. Whereas in this case, if they're calling it Ghost in the Shell and it's in Japan and literally everyone, like, there's a lot of Asian side characters in this, like, that they've actually cast as Asian people, and now all of a sudden there's just the lead is a white girl. That's clearly, to me, just sounds like pandering for money.
I was going to say, I agree with Nero with Nate that if everyone in there is white or is Western European, yeah, that's whitewashing. But based on what you've told me about the idea that you don't really know who she is, she's a cyborg, he chose this body, then yeah, you could totally get away with it being ScarJo and having that fit within the actual...
No, I think you can get away with it, and that's why I'm not writing the movie off as horrible until I see, you know, like, what the script is. But it really is a problem, though, that when we see Asians in movies, they're always secondary characters and they're not the lead. Whereas people are really, really vying for Kikuchi from Pacific Rim. Like, if she was cast as the main, people are like over how much better. Like, she has an action role. She was clearly in an action role in Pacific Rim, and she did fantastic. And that she would also do just as good a job as Scarlett Johansson. So why not take a risk on that Asian character when they are playing it safe by casting who's hot right now?
Rush Hour.
What about Rush Hour?
Jackie Chan is what he's trying to get at.
Jackie Chan.
Okay, but again, Jackie Chan
is, I think, the exception.
Jackie Chan is white.
Anecdote.
But look at the amount of times that this happens and becomes a topic because of Hollywood, because of how many times they say, "Oh, well, this should have been an Asian actor. Why isn't it?" And then there, you know,
you're totally right. You're 100% right.
Right, and then there's also, like, another discussion I've seen is that a lot of Americans are like, "Well, they should have just cast any Asian person, any East Asian person." But then there are Japanese people who are actually saying, "Well, I'd rather it be a white person than a Chinese person pretending to be Japanese."
Wow. Well, because that's the thing, is that the Japanese are really serious about their racism.
Yeah, and
they really are.
Like, in America, if they had cast a Chinese or Korean person and as Kusanagi, the American people, the white people especially, would not give a fuck at all. Right. But the thing is that Japanese people would still care.
Oh, they would have fucking lost their fucking mind. Yeah, so, that's a really big deal.
It's a hard, like, issue. And the thing is that when we have Japanese actresses out there that if you call, they will probably jump on this. I don't see why not take the risk on that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is a Japanese set show, and if Hollywood's going to do it right. I mean, totally. I think that they picked this one because they can write it off as she's a cyborg, she can be in any body, so here's ScarJo.
And fucking everybody loves ScarJo.
Yeah, and there's really, like, honestly, when you think about, because Major Kusanagi was sort of like she's a very, like, prototypical character for this, like, big badass. I mean, a little bit based off of what's her name? Linda Hamilton, or Linda whatever her name is, in Transformers. Like the badass chick, right? Like she was that character. That character was really, really central in taking that kind of character and putting them into like the media culture, like consciousness, right? Like you get a lot of characters that are influenced by Kusanagi, the way that Kusanagi was portrayed, the way that Kusanagi has been written, even down to the manga, right? And the thing is that there are very few people, I would say, that could competently take up that role. Scarlett Johansson is near the top of that fucking list.
I mean, I agree. Based on her acting roles and everything I've seen her in, I think she is fantastic to play the character. However, it's just that this is an issue of Asian people being erased in Hollywood, and I just feel like that, like Kikuchi, we all know she's also fabulous because Pacific Rim was amazing. That, like, why not try somebody else? Like, why be? I mean, if they're causing controversy just for publicity, or they're picking ScarJo just for the money sale, it's kind of sad.
Because Hollywood does not take chances with their big movies. They go with what's safe and what they know will sell.
But the thing is, this is an anime adaptation movie. Like, these never ever end well.
Hang on. Yeah, that's what, and I think that's actually the point. That's actually the point. Because had anime movies become established like comic book movies, we spent all last episode talking about MCU. Had anime movies established themselves like comic book movies have, then I think you would start seeing a bit more adventurous casting.
Oh, sure.
But because like anime movies are still in the same vein as video game movies, like movies based off of video games, where
Jesus, it stinks in here.
Hollywood is going to make the most safe and conservative decisions that they think are going to put butts into seats because they don't believe the content to be strong enough. Comic book movies have cemented it ever since the success of Batman and then Spider-Man and then all of the other that have come since then. They have cemented their success, and so Hollywood's like, you guys can, you figured it out.
Yeah, Disney's like, all right, Marvel, print money.
Do it. Do it up. You're fine. We'll even let you make mistakes. But
you want to make a movie about a fucking raccoon and a talking tree? You got it.
Exactly.
And also, on that sense, most comic books come from the West and star white characters, so it's also a lot harder to say that they're taking any kind of risks.
Hold on, because, well, not necessarily with the characters. I mean, they took big risks with Guardians because that was fucking different. They took a big risk with Deadpool, but in this phase that we're seeing coming up, you now have Black Panther. We are coming up on Captain Marvel, which is going to be, the first superhero-led one with a woman in front of it. And
hang on, there will be now. Look, there are chances. I'm not giving comic book movies a free pass here.
Oh, no.
Because there are chances for comic book movies to make adventuring casting decisions. A Black Spider-Man. I would love to see Donald fucking Glover as Spider-Man. That is the best. That is like my dream casting. I would see the fuck out of that movie.
Especially because there's a Black Spider-Man in the comics.
Exactly.
That's the point.
And that's what,
because they don't think it'll sell.
And that's what I'm getting at too. If they did Lady Thor, like,
that'd be awesome.
But like, you understand that they're building their credibility to work towards that, right?
Like they've already started doing it in the comics. They've like completely in the all new, all different Marvel universe.
Yes,
they've so reappropriated everything. I think the only person that's still just a normal white dude at this point is fucking Tony Stark.
Dude, they're gonna get the approval to make one of those bombastic casting decisions, and it's gonna blow everyone away, and that's what we're gonna be talking about for an entire episode. For that episode, I'm sure of it.
Didn't they already? Nick Fury.
Oh, yeah, actually, that's a good point.
Nick Fury, that was a good one.
Well, they did that in the comics first, and I think it was just so wildly popular in the comics that they're just like, yeah, let's do it.
I think that was a totally different situation.
Plus, at the time, when he came to film that cameo at the end of Iron Man, like, sure, they probably had plans, but when they sold him on that was just like, hey, come down the thing, we want to do a thing for you, and he's like, all right, cool, this sounds fun, and it just happened to open up into what it opened up into.
Right.
So I don't think that this is necessarily, case in point, 100% case of Hollywood whitewashing. I think that there is a chance, like, they could justify it. First of all, they could justify it through the narrative
very far away from.
I don't know that
scared.
I don't know that Nika. I don't know that I can get that tinfoil hattie with you, because there have been many attempts to make anime movies in the past. Leonardo DiCaprio, for example, owns the rights to make an Akira movie. I have heard that. He owns those rights. He loves that movie so much, he bought that. Right? There have been talks. There's even rumors that Pacific.
They're going to stay very far away from.
I don't know that I can.
Scared.
I don't know that Nika. I don't know that I can get that tinfoil hattie with you, because there have been many attempts to make anime movies in the past. Leonardo DiCaprio, for example, owns the rights to make an Akira movie. I have heard that. He owns those rights. He loves that movie so much, he bought that. Right? There have been talks. There's even rumors that Pacific Rim was assets that Guillermo del Toro started making for an Evangelion movie that he was
that didn't quite get off
that he was attached to.
Nate, the first time you saw the trailer for Pacific Rim, did you not sit there going like, "Oh my God, they're making Evangelion"? That's exactly what I thought it was.
That's totally what I thought. And so, yeah, like those rumors have existed forever. There have been attempts to make many anime movies, and I don't think that I could go as far as to say there's like some kind of cabal in Hollywood that chose Ghost in the Shell because they could possibly whitewash it. What I'm saying is that, like, Ghost in the Shell is one of the first anime movies that's going to get its shot on the market. I just hope that it's good. I don't give a at this point. If the is whitewashing an issue? Yeah, it's totally an issue, but it's an issue way outside of Ghost in the Shell. It's an issue inside of Hollywood. That's.
But I agree with you, and I'm actually I'm not. That's why I'm not writing it off, because I do think it has potential to be good. And another thing I've seen people always complain about is the Prince of Persia movie. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, with that one, even though it was whitewashed, like character. So then when does it become? I don't know.
And again, if you go back to the image that the studio released with ScarJo in it, dude, she looks like the Major.
Yeah,
that looks like the character.
If you just saw that still, you'd think, oh, are they making a Ghost in the Shell movie?
Absolutely. Yeah. And to me, that justifies it. You don't. We can talk about all of this shit in the abstract until we're blue in the face. But that, the studio released with ScarJo in it, dude, she looks like the Major.
Yeah,
that looks like the character.
If you just saw that still, you'd think, oh, are they making a Ghost in the Shell movie?
Absolutely. Yeah. And to me, that justifies it. You don't. We can talk about all of this shit in the abstract until we're blue in the face. But that fact right there, looking at the image and going, yes, I believe that's Major Kusanagi. That is what sold it to me. So,
but when it all comes down to it, we're all white, so none of this matters.
None of it.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's go to our phone line.